Welcome to the Be Happy Now show. Flex your soul connection muscle and be your inner guide to fulfillment and purpose. I'm Claudia-Sam. If you know that you're here for a bigger reason, this is the place to be. Together, we ditch the self-care guilt and quit the go, go, go with less fear and more trust. Tune in to living life in alignment with your full potential. The Be Happy Now show starts now. Yay! Welcome to the Be Happy Now show. I'm your host, your soul connection coach, Claudia-Sam. And I have a very special guest with me today, Andrea Cameron of Fashion Your Life. Hello, Andrea.
Hi, Claudia-Sam.
We are going to have so much fun. I want to quickly introduce my friend to you. So Andrea is one of the most fun people I've spoken with because it was really a discussion about how to find your own style and so Andrea has about 20 years experience as in the fashion industry. She really enjoys designing and she coaches people through finding their own style, finding their confidence, and actually representing their most authentic self, which is our discussion today, without feeling like you have to buy something to fill a void. And actually, I'm going to ask you, Andrea, that you introduce yourself. And before we do that, I'm just going to cover what we will explore in today's call, and then we'll start in our discussion.
Perfect.
If you're new to the Be Happy Now show, I'm Claudia-Sam, and I'm your soul connection coach, where I work with people who feel stuck with where they're at in life, who feel like they're not the happiest they can be, who feel like deep down they know that they're here for a bigger reason. And I support them using my Tune-In Method to find more clarity on their path to purpose. And in today's episode, we will explore what retail therapy is all about and how you might have your own style and you don't have to buy what's out there and think that that's just it. And that's your style, that's what you have to be and who you have to show up as. And we'll also explore how you don't need to be more nor buy into the quote unquote new thing because you are so worthy. So yay, welcome, Andrea. Please tell us a little bit more about you and about where people can find you before we start our discussion.
Perfect. Thank you. So as you said, I have over 20 years experience in the fashion industry, but I'm a combination of fashion expert, coach, and business owner. So I bring all of these three elements, and my specialty is really in visibility coaching and fashion consulting. And my primary market is women in business. My business is Fashion Your Life. So it kind of explains how those three things go together, right? It's all about fashioning your life. So my website is www. Do we say that anymore?
I don't know. I don't think so, but it's okay.
www. It's just kind of fun to say. fashionyourlife.ca. And I'm most on Instagram at Fashion Your Life Official. I am on Facebook for sure. You can find me there too.
Great. Thank you. And one of the things that we started talking about because we met in the CEO community, and this is where radical generosity happens and where we get to meet, human beings who just have their heart open and who just want to connect with other beings and be able to share their gifts and also see how else we get to grow. And I remember you saying that one of the first things that people say when they're on the call with you is, I'm sorry, I'm not wearing the fashion thing.
Yes.
And kind of giving an excuse for what they're wearing. So I'd love for you to just tell us more about how that's not the point. That's not what you do.
Correct. Yeah. As soon as people find out that I work in fashion or related to fashion, many people quickly go to the self-deprecating, oh, I don't look put together, oh, I'm not wearing the right thing, oh, like, don't, you must think something of what I'm wearing. And I'm like, actually, no, I don't. Like, I don't even notice that. That's not what it's about. I see people, I see their essence, I see who they are, right? So, and what I call it their style. So I see their style, it's innate. Everybody has their own sense of style. And my gift is really being able to gently coax it out of you so that you can see it. And yeah, it's really interesting that people quickly go to that assumption because the industry is very, what shall we say, surface based, right? It is about appearances. It can be very pretentious. So that is not me. That is not me at all. I am non-prescriptive in my approach. I am not here to tell you, I'm not here to say like wear this thing, where, like a lot of people are like, oh, I used to love watching What Not to Wear. The thing with What Not to Wear is that everybody almost looked exactly the same, right? If you've noticed that.
Oh yeah, I have.
Because they're basically like what's trendy at the time, what looks professional, what's going to make them look a certain way, right? They have a formula that they were working with on the show, but all those other factors come into play, and then everybody ends up looking the same. Even when they had like somebody more edgy or whatever, they would try and like allow them a piece of their style. But for me, it's about truly honoring who you are and your specific style. So I don't know if I'm missing anything there. We talked about a lot of stuff. We're going to talk about more stuff, but hopefully that answered it.
Thank you. I mean, it totally does. One of the reasons, another reason why I invited you on the Be Happy Now show is because we are both believing in women's essences, beyond the way they look, beyond what they portray out into the world. And it seems like we both have a mission to help women feel empowered within who they are, using any tool that they get. They get to use fashion, they get to use writing, they get to use whatever outlet that they feel passionate about, so that, well, when they get to show up into the world, it just feels like it's easy for them to be themselves, to represent who they are. And when we go out, because both of us, we work with clients who might use well, I'm going to buy this because it's going to make me feel better. And then they come to us and they're like, yeah, I'm in debt and I don't feel better. So I'd love for us to have a discussion about that. Retail therapy, you called it.
Retail therapy. Yes. So retail therapy it can be very healthy. It can be, especially when you're conscientious of it, right? We talked about desire, you and I yesterday, and how, it can be, if you desire something, you can kind of see it like that. But retail therapy typically has a more negative connotation to it. And so what's happening, right? Because we're all about finding and helping support people be their most authentic self from the inside out. The industry likes to tell us what to do, what to wear, what looks good, likes to basically say these are the trends, and that over the past 20-30 years has gotten faster and faster and faster with fast fashion. So a lot of brands have stuff coming out like every day, which is insane. The fact that that's happening, it's creating this pressure, right? And the fact that that's happening, I when I graduated from design school, I knew I wanted to have my own business, but I didn't figure this out till later, but I didn't start a clothing collection. And later I was like, oh, it's because I don't believe in creating stuff and then hoping it'll sell, right? It's like, here's what you should wear. This is what I'm telling you is right for you. It's like, that's very prescriptive. That's very trendy. That's very, I'm going to produce something. And if it doesn't sell, what happens to it? Right?
Yeah. What happens to it? Waste
is not sustainable at all. It is not sustainable. And there's actually all kinds of issues going on in the industry right now. That one has been building up over time. And then, so they're making more, not everything sells. And even the stuff that we're buying, we're not wearing it the way that we used to. So there's a lot of throwaway clothing culture. So if you're going to retail therapy to fill that void, there's a pretty good chance that you're not buying something that you're going to love and cherish and wear multiple times and really get some good use out of, right? So it goes both ways. Not only are you not honoring yourself, but then I don't want to make anyone feel bad, but and when we're caught up, because it's not our fault, we're caught up in that cycle because the industry has been built that way.
Yeah.
So when we're caught up in that cycle, we're actually adding to the problem, right?
Definitely. And we are not helping ourselves stand in our own power. We think we are because in the instant it makes us feel good. I'm going to give an example, two examples actually. This thing that I'm wearing, it's a really long, long throw over. And I've always dreamed of like wearing something like that. It makes me feel so flowy and in the zone, the creative zone of like, almost Michael Jackson-y. I could just lift it up in the back. Yeah, I'm going to fly away, be the superwoman. And I found this in a thrift store for $14. And I think I spent like 20 minutes looking at it and being like, do I want to, am I really going to wear this? Is this going to be? And then I was like, wait a minute, this helps me feel like I'm on top of the world. So I'm going to buy it and I'm going to appropriate it as I'm anchoring myself in who I am.
I love that. It's perfect.
Right.
Go ahead. I was going to say, there is that's the moment, right? So a lot of people I work with don't enjoy shopping. So they'll have that moment, and that's a very critical moment. Like, if you're going, we know when we're going shopping for retail therapy, right? We know what's going on, but we do.
Yeah. What's the feeling? Do you have like a kind of an indication that that people that you have experienced probably, or that from your clients, of like that feeling that, this is not to anchor me into my worth, but rather it's just to spend and make me feel good in this instant. Do you have an idea of that?
So when we're going into retail therapy, we're trying to fill a void because we're avoiding something, right? There's always something underneath. So typically that's, we're not wanting to sit with whatever emotion or whatever feeling is coming up. We're not wanting to deal with something. We're not wanting to face something.
Yeah. And I want to premise that it can be okay, right? When we do it with awareness that that's what we're doing, we're not the victim of it, because we are aware. So here we're having this discussion to maybe spark something within you that you can go, oh, maybe that's what I'm doing.
Yes, because this is my personal journey. So I would catch myself doing that. I know I was doing it. I knew it wasn't necessarily going to be something that I would buy, that I would love, that would last. But it filled that void. And I slowly over time trained myself out of it. And it started with really just stopping and asking myself certain questions and really getting connected to the moment. So being in the moment, and then also looking at the garment and just being like, Marie Kondoit, does this bring me joy? Like you said with the duster vest, like it makes you feel a certain way. If it's empowering, then that's a great purchase, right? And I share this because some people are in that space and other people really don't like shopping, and they'll be stuck in that moment, like saying like, oh, I don't know what decision to make. They get in analysis paralysis and they put it down, they run away, and they don't buy anything.
Oh my gosh, that almost sounds like me. Which is why when I found this piece, I was like, took me forever to decide until I remembered the feeling. Hey, I'm empowered me. I have it in me to feel into that intuition.
So the key question there is, I like to say, does it match my personal style? Right? Whichever situation you're in, if it matches you and your energy and how you want to feel and your style, if you have a greater sense of your style, that's a super, super grounding question. In any moment, anytime you're going to buy something, take something from a friend, whatever it is, right? Like clothing swaps, that kind of thing, whenever those come back. in yeah, and I think it's about like valuable here to share my own style story, specifically like working in the industry and how I was able to see all this over 20 plus years. And I worked at a lot of different companies. What happened every single time I moved to a different company is over time, my whole wardrobe would change to match that company's brand image. So I was literally dressing to fit in. This is what happens with trends. And when we see, a lot of people like the princess and the duchess's style, so they try and emulate them. A lot of people like a certain celebrity. So, and that's great. Like Marilyn Monroe's my style icon. I get it. You need to have that kind of guiding force. But when it comes into copying them, it doesn't work, right?
Yeah.
So that's where you need to find your own style. And I was caught in that cycle. So every time I would my whole look would change, my color palette would change, the fit, everything. And it wasn't until I got out of the industry that I got out of the habit and I started to see myself and I was able to develop my own sense of personal style. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Thank you so much, Andrea, for sharing that. You are listening to the Be Happy Now show with your soul connection coach, Claudia-Sam, and we are having a discussion about I am with Fashion Your Life, Andrea Cameron, and we are discussing about how to represent your most authentic self without feeling like you have to buy something to fill a void. And on that topic of finding your own style and getting out of that industry to discover who you are and not having to abide by all these other trends. Well, I feel like I also have that kind of, honestly, I feel like I've never had a style. I just, I do. Okay, good.
Mm-hmm.
I would teach yoga and just spend my days wearing yoga clothes. So that would be the style for that day. Anyway, where I want to go is that, for example, this is very recent right now kind of thing. So I started seeing people with nails that have a little bit of a pointy tip to it. And my nails don't normally go like this. They're not naturally pointy. And I noticed it within myself, the need of like, ooh, I wonder if I would look good in those nails too. Like I noticed it in me, the need that created itself into wanting nails like this. So what I said, I'm in an experiment right now. I'm experimenting. I think this is like my second week of shaping my nails in this way and noticing if it suits me and if it fits with me and if it feels right with me. And honestly, I find it scratches better with nail polish and the pointy nails. Those are my real nails because I have strong nails and I take care of my nails. And this is just me having fun and putting glitter with vegan nail polish and non-toxic polish. Pardon me. And it feels so good. If I would have not felt like I'm anchoring in the truth of who I am if I would have just done it to follow, to be the person who does it like everybody else.
Exactly.
Which was what I was doing when in my 20s, I would wear these really long V-necks because I thought that's what sexy was, showing off your big boobs and
you're bringing sexy back.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? I made a self-care song out of that when I did my self-care challenge. What was it?
Nice.
What was it? I'm in a self-care. Yeah, I'm worthy to put myself first. Yeah, I'm bringing self-care back. Duh. I'm worthy of putting myself first. Woohoo. Yeah, that was the song. Well, when I would wear those V-necks, it wasn't out of like, I really feel like I felt confident, but right now I feel
Mhm.
super uncomfortable whenever I have like, you know,
Right.
this cleavage showing, unless I'm with, my man. And
Yeah. Or like I said, go out to a fancy dinner and like, hey, time to bring the girls out. Totally applicable. And some
yeah.
people, you know what? Some people want to dress like that more often because it suits their style,
Mm-hmm.
right? But it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't feel right to you.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you said something that I think is really important to elaborate on. Experiment.
Mm.
So this is like my middle name. Experiment, play, have
Tell me
fun.
more.
I wish it was, but it's not. But experimenting, playing, have fun. Clothing is the easiest way to do that, right? And when honestly, when we're going into retail therapy, that's kind of what we're doing. We're being called to try something new.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I need something new. We're just saying here to like kind of check yourself, like, well, what's the main purpose? Is it actually serving you, right? But one of the easiest ways to experiment is with your clothes. And if you are stuck, if you are feeling stuck, then experiment and play and just have fun. Like balls to the walls, they say. Like
I have a friend who has so much fun with clothes that she will
yeah,
dye her own clothes and she will put
yeah,
like leaves and
yeah,
plants on her
exactly.
white clothes, and then she'll dye them, she'll stain them, and then
Mhm.
and that is her embodying the uniqueness of who she is through her clothes.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
because clothes doesn't have to be this surface thing, we're here helping you, hopefully, that if you're listening, is that maybe retail is something that you go to, that you buy. And I would want us to explore also the fact that we don't you don't need to buy into the quote unquote new thing.
Yeah.
This isn't, I had a client who said, I feel like when it's Christmas and I have all the decorations and I want to get the new thing. I see my neighbors with this new decor, and there I am in my mind. All of a sudden, it's a spark of, you need that.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
what that does is that instead of going, well, why do I need that? What makes it so
Yeah.
important that I match what they do? Is it because maybe I don't want to be judged? Is it because
Yeah.
I don't want to be pushed aside, or I'm afraid that I'll be lesser than because I don't have that new thing? So I'd love for us to talk about that. If you
Yeah.
want to share any client story or any story that you have about that quote unquote new thing to feel worthy.
Yeah. I think it's really about that. There's an underlying issue there, right? And and then if we go and buy the thing, then we end up not loving the thing because we thought it's something we should do, we shouldn't on ourselves. Then usually that's driven by some flavor, some flavor
Mm-hmm.
of shame, or uh, so something else, something deeper, right? So it's like we think we need to look a certain way. And that's where I say when people meet me and find out what I do, they're like, oh, they think they need to look a certain way. And I'm just like, no, you don't need to look a certain way. You need to look like you, period. And everybody's different. So like your friend that does the leaves and the dyeing, like I play with dyeing too. Like it's interesting. I take really good care of my clothes, but at the same time, you can't, be afraid to experiment and play with things like that. If that's what you feel called to, then that's what you need to do and try. And if you mess it up, that's okay. Right. That's the experiment in playing. So um long way around to say that it's some sort of underlying issue, and the industry, especially with fashion, is perpetuating that issue. I want to make this very clear. It is not your fault, right? We're literally caught up in this cycle because the industry has created it and has been doing it for so long that we are caught up in it. And it's really, really difficult for us to see ourselves in it and pull ourselves out of it because everybody else is going along with it. You're muted. Oh, I can't hear you. Oh, I can hear you now, I think.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Well, this is what happens when the microphone dies. Okay, live microphone dying as we end our interview here today. What I was saying is that if there is one thing that you retain from today is that it's not your fault. I love that, Andrea. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah,
and
it's not.
So let's maybe, as we wrap up, we have about 3 minutes left. Let's maybe just say 3 steps of what to do when this might be you. So I feel like the first step, and maybe you can add on to this, the first step would be just, do you want to be aware? You get to choose if you want to be aware of where you stand in this whole relationship with buying and clothes. What would be like a second step? I'm putting you on the spot.
Yeah. So if you're choosing awareness,
yes,
then the next step will be to make a pact with yourself. This is the very first thing I did. Make a pact with yourself that the next time you find yourself in that situation, because you will be in that situation again, it's totally expected, right? Habits don't just go away. So when you find yourself in that situation again, to not beat yourself up, to not feel bad about it, right?
Yes.
So you have this, you've chosen awareness. So when you're in that moment, whatever other negative thoughts or emotions are coming up, just watch them, pay attention to them. And it takes a number of times, but eventually you'll get to the point where you're like, okay, and just don't beat yourself up.
So love that. Thank you, Andrea. And perhaps a third step is to choose what you want to do with this. Choose if you want to seek out help. Choose if you choose what you want to do with it, and seek out Andrea's help or seek out my help to find that self-awareness that can boost your self-confidence in a way that suits you. And so we are wrapping up our Be Happy Now show episode about representing your most authentic self. Thank you so much, Andrea, for being here with me early for you on Vancouver Island. And if you want to hop on a power hour with Andrea to just fine tune, have a discussion about what that means for you, just go to fashionyourlife.ca. Is that it, Andrea?
Correct. Yeah.
Great. And if you want more opportunities to flex your soul connection muscle and be your own inner guide to fulfillment and purpose, listen to more episodes of the Be Happy Now show. Make sure to grab your free audio guide to help you put yourself at the top of the to-do list without feeling guilty. Did I say a 3-step audio guide? It's free. It's a downloadable thing on my website. You go to ClaudiaSamCoaching.com and just click on the orange button that says Start Here, and you will get started. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for choosing to have a date with yourself. Thank you for tuning into what it might mean for you to represent your most authentic self without feeling like you have to buy something new to fill a void. Thank you, Andrea, for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yay. Have a beautiful day, everyone. You've been listening to the Be Happy Now show with me, Claudia-Sam. Flex your soul connection muscle and be your inner guide to fulfillment and purpose. Tune in live every Thursday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern on transformationtalkradio.com. You are worthy of being you and of connecting to what stops you from living the life you are meant to live. Access more soul connection coaching at ClaudiaSamCoaching.com.